This is the 24 to 85. Yeah, I think it's gonna be very interesting to photograph with it. See how I find it.
Hello there. I thought I would give you a quick update on my thoughts about the 24 to 85 millimeter Nikon lens. So I'm recording this 3 months into using the lens, but in the timeline that you're watching my content, it's basically I've just purchased it from where you are. But 3 months has passed for as of when I'm recording this, so I feel that I'm able to give a proper what's my thoughts video. Not a review, I'm not reviewing it, I just want to give my opinion on the lens and more actually the focal length of the lens. So how do I find the 24 to 85? Surprisingly, I actually love it. I love it very much. I find it to be a focal length that I've been yearning for a very long time, and it just perfectly suits my need. The reason why I was starting to feel a need for that type of a focal length lens to begin with is that I've been using a 70-200 or a 70-300, one of those two lenses, basically to fill in or to be used as my longer focal length lens. But what I found after extensive use is that, especially here in Dalsland, those focal lengths are just too zoomed into the landscape. The only thing I can really photograph with them are more detailed shots, or more portrait-ish shots where I'm focused upon one subject and not the whole story, the whole image, not a scene. So therefore I didn't really use it that often, and I stuck mostly with my wide angle lens, the 16-35. But now getting that focal length from 24 up to 85, that whole normal range, it's really opened up a lot of possibilities when it comes to composition. The reason for that, I think, is the way that I like to photograph. I like to include a little bit more. As you might have heard me say, or you're going to notice that I'm going to be talking more about it, is that I photograph scenes, and that means including a little bit more just so that I can create or include the three elements that are important to a scene, and those are a beginning, a middle, and an end. So including those three mostly means photographing a little bit wider in order to include a little bit more, so that I can create the scene that I want in each of my compositions. I've started to walk a bit further away and use a little bit more compression into a lot of my compositions, just to get the not more emphasis on the background, but get it closer to make the scenes more as one, bring everything closer together so everything is more in line in a sense. So I switched back to the 24 to 85 and I decided to step a little bit further back and zoom in a little bit to the landscape, and I ended up at 32 millimeters. And what that enabled me to do is to zoom in, or to compress the scene a little bit, so get the background to appear a little bit closer or a little bit more in plane with the foreground and the midground. And in that way I could still get detail in the background and not having to include any of the sky or anything like that. So it turned out pretty good actually. The wide angle is very good at distorting things, and especially foregrounds. If you have lot of little lines and things in the foreground. It's very good at distorting those and making those even more impressive than they appear in real life. But closer towards the normal focal length is more what you actually see in real life, and thus it's actually in a sense a lot easier to translate from what you're seeing in nature and then capturing that onto an image. So that's what I actually really love it. I find it even more enjoyable than I thought it would. I thought it would be a nice lens to have, but I've actually really fallen for the focal length. Let me say a few words as well about the lens itself. First and foremost, it's small and it's lightweight. Two characteristics that I love. As you see, I don't have a big backpack. I'm actually looking for a upgrade from this backpack. It's starting to get quite worn and it's starting to get a little bit too small. I want to be able to carry a little bit more as I'm expanding the length and duration of my day hikes. I'm pushing the boundaries all the time now, and it's getting a little bit small, and I would have liked to have something that would carry a little bit more weight easier. Anyway, back to the lens. It's lightweight and small, which is very good, since it's less stress on the back when carrying lots of things. Other than that, the image quality, it's excellent. I have no complaints about the image quality at all. Since I'm only photographing landscapes, I'm almost exclusively beginning at f8 at apertures, so I have no idea how it functions at a larger opening than that, and I don't really care, since it's not in it's not really in the way that I use the lens. So I don't really care if it's sharp or if it has sharpness fall off towards the corners at lower apertures, or lower aperture numbers. So I'm very satisfied with the image quality, considering things like chromatic aberrations, things like that. That's so easy to fix in Lightroom. It's just one box to tick, and the problem is basically gone. Want to see a magic trick? Click, it's gone. Yeah. As a comparison in image quality on the 24 to 85, I would say it's not as good as the 70 to 200 f4, which is absolutely outstanding. But it is easily as good as the 16 to 35. I would say it's very comparable, I would say, and I think I don't want to speak about lens design. I'm not versed in that, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I would say that those two are closely matched, and the f4 70 to 200 is a lot sharper. Yeah, so I'm really satisfied with the image quality. The only thing that I think I kind of would have liked is for it to be a little bit longer, so perhaps I would have enjoyed a 24 to 120 even more, but then again it's quite a lot bigger actually, and it's almost, I think it's around 80% heavier for that little bit of extra focal length, and I don't really find that to be worth the trade-off. I much prefer to have the lower weight, and also money always comes into the calculation. I managed to get a really great deal on it, which is why I bought it, and buying the 24 to 120 would have cost me around 80% more. So then again, not worth the trade-off, especially when I'm actually considering or I've decided actually, moving forward, I'm only going to invest into lenses and camera bodies in the new Nikon Z system. So this lens, the 24-85, is the last lens that I plan to buy for the Nikon F-mount. So going forward, I'm only going to buy things for the Z-mount. Nikon has said, or they in their roadmap for their Z lenses, there is a 24-105 coming out. So that is going to be interesting. I'm hoping that they go for extremely lightweight. I wouldn't mind so much if the aperture was 5.6, to be honest, all the way through. If it meant that it is a small and compact and lightweight lens. Yeah, I would actually have liked for Nikon to make 5.6 versions of all their focal lengths. It's really small, compact, but not skimp on the image quality. Which is not what they've done, but in a sense that's what they've done with their f4 lenses in the Z-mount system, which is why I decided to stick with Nikon and start to invest into that system instead of any of the other systems that are on the market. And today there are a lot of mirrorless systems on the market, and the reason why the reason why I'm deciding mirrorless is, for me, should be pretty obvious. I mean, I do a lot of video work, and for video, mirrorless just is simply better. Why? Electronic viewfinder. But other than that, I'm basically using my DSLR as a mirrorless at the moment. I'm only using the back screen, so getting the lighter weight of, especially what Nikon have done with their system. I had considerations about maybe going Panasonic, but seeing how they built their system, they're basically just cramming everything into it, and it's the size of of a truck. It's heavy and it's really big. I mean, even their Micro Four Thirds system, Panasonic GH5, is the size of. It's heavier than a Nikon Z6. And, well, yeah. The way that I use the camera is when I'm out hiking and I'm carrying it on my back all the time when I'm going to use it. So weight is important for me. Yeah, so that concludes my little talk about everything and nothing and anything. So, concluding it, I do love the 24-85. I really do, and I would recommend it to anyone who needs a cheap, affordable, lightweight, good lens in the normal focal length for their Nikon camera. I really would. I'll show you some images that I've taken with it, and you can judge for yourself, I suppose, something, or you can just take my word for it, whatever. Yeah, that's that basically. Now it's time for me to get moving again, even though it's so nice and warm here in the sunlight.